Hi everyone, my name is Quinn and I am a mezzo-soprano resident artist here at Utah Opera. I'm going to teach you today how to warm up properly. This video is for treble voices, so anybody who sings in the treble clef like sopranos or altos or mezzo-sopranos like me. So if you are not a treble voice, you can check out the one for lower voices. I also highly recommend that before you watch the rest of this video, you go check out our video on how to breathe correctly like an opera singer. It's so important. That is like the number one fundamental of singing is breathing, and breathing even more than we regularly do in regular life. So go ahead and check that out, and when you're done, come on back. Then I'm going to teach you about some really important fundamentals of warming up and singing before I demonstrate my full warm-up, okay? So these things will really help you learn how to warm up correctly. First of all, we're going to need a piano. Right now I have this piano. If you guys don't have a piano at home, that's okay. You can get a cheap keyboard, works just fine, or you can look on your phone and download an app that is just a piano that you can play notes on. This is so important because each person has their own individual range, and it's very important to know where you're singing rather than just kind of singing all over the place wherever your voice ends up landing, right? We want to have a controlled warm-up. So I'm using this piano, and I'm going to teach you really quick how to know what the next note is and stuff. Some of us play piano, so this might be a review for you guys, but if you don't, I'm going to teach you about it. So here is our keyboard. If you don't know how to play the piano, that's okay. Your app on your phone will tell you what each of the notes are, so you don't need to be able to play fluently. So what I'm here to show you is that you're going to want to go up or down. This way is up the keyboard, this way is down in pitch. And each time you go up, you're going to want to go to the very next note. So rather than going like this, just on the white keys, sometimes the next note is a black note. If you're going down, we just go to the very next note down on the keyboard. So once you've downloaded your phone app where you already have a keyboard or a piano, you're ready to go. We're going to talk about something very fundamental. First of all, of course, we need breathing, which is why I told you to go watch the breathing video first and learn how to breathe. For singing, of course, you already know how to breathe, but breathing for singing is so different. Posture is the next thing that's super important to start out with. So I'm not talking about the kind of posture that we sometimes think is pull your shoulders back and really arch your back. That's really unhealthy. What I'm talking about is making sure that you're nice and tall, that your joints are stacked on top of each other, that your knees are not locked. So when I say joints stacked on top of each other, I mean your ankles are your base, your feet are your base, then you put your knees on top of those, hips on top of those, shoulders on top of the hips. Make sure your spine is nice and long and elongated, and that your head is balancing nice and tall on top of your spine. Pick a spot on the horizon, so not too far up, not too far down, and make sure that your head is kind of nice and tall. You can practice in a mirror to make sure that you're doing good posture. So once we have our posture set up, we're going to get started with some really cool warm-ups, and I'm going to show you what those are. Our vocal cords, or vocal folds as they're known in the medical world, are really tiny little muscles, essentially muscles that are living in your throat, right? So just like any other muscle, you're not going to go straight into sprinting, right? You're going to warm up your body. You're going to get your blood flowing into your muscles. And that's what we're going to do with our vocal warm-ups as well. So I'm going to show you the very first one is called a lip trill, and it goes like this. Looks kind of funny, feels kind of funny, it can feel like really tickly, but it is one of the best ways to warm up your voice in a really healthy way. We're starting out with some really small, easy ones to get your blood flowing in your muscles, and then we're going to move on to more full singing. So these ones, don't worry about what they sound like, just worry about how they feel, and they should feel really easy and nice, like a little massage on your voice. So don't strain your voice at all. I want to make sure in this video that I tell you guys this, that I am doing a full range warm up, which is like 2 full octaves, maybe even more. And not everybody's voice does that whole full range thing, especially if you haven't taken a lot of voice lessons yet, or some people just have a lower range than others, and some people have a higher range. And so do what feels comfortable. If you feel tense or tight at all, like you're like straining or your muscles are working too hard, don't do it. You don't need to sing that high. You don't need to sing that low. Just sing what feels comfortable for you, and eventually over time your range might expand, or you just might know that you're a lower voice or you're a higher voice, and that is totally cool. So if you ever find that you feel uncomfortable, just stop and move on to the next exercise, okay? So lip trills should feel nice and tickly. The way that you do a lip trill, right, is putting your lips together and then blowing a lot of air. It should be pitched, so like I'm going to take a C on the piano, right? My lips are moving, I'm using a lot of air. If it's not working for you, it's because your face is not relaxed enough or you're not using enough air, which is why I love this exercise, because it engages our air and also feels like a nice massage on your vocal cords. So here's the exercise. I'm going to take you through my entire lip trill technique, and you can sing along with me, or you can just watch and do it later on your own. I start at an A major on the piano, and I go all the way up to an F on the piano. So here's A major. I'm going to go... That's a good, easy way to warm up your lip trills. If you feel uncomfortable with a lip trill, if it's just not working for you, here are some other options. You can do a tongue roll, like a like that. Can also be a good way to keep your air moving. And if that doesn't work for you either, there's a really funny looking one that I like to do where you stick your tongue out and essentially blow a raspberry. You have to keep your tongue really loose, but you go... So maybe you don't want to do that one for the camera like I just did, but it's really helpful, so I suggest you try it. And you can do any of those things in place of a lip trill. Our next exercise is another really easy one on your throat. We're going to do some humming. So humming and singing, in opera singing especially, we're going to try to keep our mouths nice and wide with our lips closed and a really good, well-supported like that. Some choir teachers talk about it like you're holding an egg in your mouth and you're trying not to break it. So you can think about that if that helps. This exercise, we're going to work on loosening up our facial muscles, which can get really tight, especially if we're stressed out or if we're like trying to sing really well. We can like kind of get a lot of tension in here. So this is a good way to release some tension and to warm up your cords a little bit more. So here we go. We're going to do a scale, and I want you to move your mouth around a lot. Move your jaw, move your lips as you're singing or as you're humming, I guess. You can also even incorporate some neck rolls or shoulder rolls as you do this to really release tension in your whole body. It can be really helpful. Okay, here we go. It goes. I started us on an A major and I went up to G major for those of you who can play the piano for yourselves, or you can just sing along with me. Our next exercise uses something not super environmentally friendly, but very singing friendly and can be a good way to reuse any straws that you got in your drink. So we're going to use a plastic straw, and this is another really good way to warm up slowly while also getting your cords and your breathing. This is really helpful for breathing. So we're going to take our straw and we're going to buzz it. So kind of just sing through your straw, keep your lips super close together. You're going to want to make this kind of sound. we're gonna do sirens, okay? Which is kind of what I just did. You can do some on your own, maybe right now if you're playing along at home. But you're gonna do some that kind of just sound like what it says, like a siren. You're gonna do one like an ambulance would do. So, so we start low, we go high. We can also do one starting high, going low, and back up again. And this should be like a fun, playful exercise. Don't judge yourself too much. You're exploring your range. You're exploring how far you can go and doing it with really good air support. So we're going to do sirens in octaves now. We're going to go and really slide through all the pitches. Don't try to make it a scale. Really think about like a slide whistle, like every single note that you can do between those two notes, okay? So we're starting on A. So if some of that didn't feel comfortable, if the high notes or the low notes were like, oh, this doesn't feel great on my voice, you don't need to do those extremes. Just do the middle stuff and it'll be super helpful. Okay, now we're on to full out singing. We've done our really healthy warm-ups that kind of got our blood flowing. Now we're gonna sing full out. So that means really well supported. It doesn't mean you're forcing anything or trying to sound like an opera singer, because let me tell you, it took me, it's been like 14 years of voice lessons to sound like this. So if you haven't taken voice lessons before, or if you've only been doing it for a little bit, we're not going to sound the same. You're not going to sound like a professional right away. So don't try to do it. Just sound like your voice and express yourself through your own singing. And in your own voice is unique and beautiful, and every single voice is completely different. So this is just some guidelines for you. So here's some full out singing. We're going to do a 5-tone scale starting on B flat this time instead of A. And we're going to do it on an E. If this vowel feels weird to you or not good to do an E vowel, you can do a different vowel, whatever feels most comfortable for you. So that you can notice that as I get higher, my mouth opens a little bit more. You don't want to be forcing it hugely open, but the higher you get, the more space that you need in your mouth and in your resonance to sing. So don't try to make it like a tiny little E like this. Make it a tall E type vowel, okay? So I'm starting here again. Ready? Now we're getting up into the high notes. That was just the highest note was an F there, so that might be where you stop. But if you want to go higher, and if it feels comfortable to go higher, we're going to change to an ah vowel, okay? So instead of E, we're going to do ah, like a nice tall ah vowel. And that's a high B flat, folks. folks. So if you can get up there with me, congratulations. And if not, congratulations. So here's a little tip on reaching some high notes with a little bit more ease. All high notes need a ton of breath support. So when I point to my abdomen, you'll know that I mean that you really need to breathe in super deep and then use that energy, use the air with lots of energy. So ways to do that, you can bend your knees really deep as you go up to the high note, and it'll kind of connect you to your breath a little bit more. We're going to do some arpeggios now, and that's a fancy music term for playing a certain sequence of notes. It's the first note, third note, fifth note, and eighth note of a scale. So if you're in C major, it would be C, E, G, C. So we're going to do those on a ya, 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 ya. Okay, starting on C, we're going to go ya, 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 ya. Ya, 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 ya. Ya, 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 ya. So again, if you don't want to go all the way up, don't have to. This is an excellent one to practice bending your knees and really getting engaged with your breath. On all of the high notes, you can go ya 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 ya, and really dig into your breath there. No pushing, no forcing, of course, but just engaging those muscles in a healthy way. This last one of our 6 exercises is another arpeggio, but it's going to focus on longer sustained legato. And legato is a word that means connected or smooth or sustained in Italian. So our breath really flowing the whole time, not disconnecting between pitches, okay? This is also going to test how long you can hold your breath. It's kind of a longer exercise, and will kind of push you in that realm. So we're going to do it on the vowel E-ah, E-ah, E-ah. Every note we're going to sing E and then ah, and go up and down the arpeggio like we did before. So we're going to start and really think, here's a little tip if you're working on getting your legato to happen more, to make your notes connected, is to move your hands like this. This is a representation for your brain of your breath. And it might seem silly, but your brain really does kinesthetically listen to your hands. So if you do this, then your breath will move like that too. It will really flow and come out of you in a really connected way. So let's do it starting here. This is C major. We're going to go E-ah, 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 E-ah. Right? So that takes a lot of breath. So let's keep moving. Ready? Big breath in. E-ah, 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 E-ah. Let me just take a second to point out, I didn't sound great on that last one. I was not happy with how a couple of those notes sounded. And that's me being super critical of myself, but we're all kind of critical, right? So I just want to point out that when you're warming up, this is not a performance, right? You don't need to sound perfect on every note. You're just getting your voice ready. You're getting your breath ready to start the day and to sing your other repertoire, which are your songs that you're working on. So don't worry if it doesn't sound perfect. Don't micromanage yourself too much. So I'm going to keep going even though I didn't like a couple of those notes. Ready? E-ah, 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 E-ah. E-ah, 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 E-ah. So that's an F, so that's already pretty high, but if you want to keep going, here are some higher notes. We're going to go up to an ah on the top instead of singing E-ah, because it's a little hard to sing an E up that high because you need so much space in your mouth. So we're just going to sing ah on the highest note. E-ah, 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 sopranos, you can go ahead and do that. But I'm a mezzo soprano, so that's where I'm going to stop today. You'll notice that sometimes I was bending my legs a little bit on the high note to get a little bit more engagement on that. So those are my tips, and I hope that that warm-up helps you. If you have any questions or want any clarification, please check out our Ask a Singer page and submit questions there, and we will definitely answer them. Thanks!